Okay, well, welcome back to the Jesus and Your Mental Health podcast. I'm Rebecca Maxwell, and I have a really special guest today. You guys are going to enjoy this conversation. My friend Josh Wells is here with us. He is a husband to a lovely lady, Morgan. He is a father to 4 wild ones. One is still baking, almost done. He's a 10-year NFL veteran, a Super Bowl champion, which I can't even believe I have a friend who's a Super Bowl champion. That's super, super cool. And most importantly, he'll tell you he's a disciple of Jesus and finds purpose in coaching all ages through his program, Undrafted Coaching. So welcome, Josh.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think that Jesus and your mental health both go hand in hand so well, and they have to. So I love being here to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. This is going to be a great conversation for everybody, but especially for parents of athletes, of which I am. I still call them athletes. Well, one is a college athlete. My son, Colin, is a decathlete at UNF and just headed into his indoor track season. So we're really excited about that because he's here in Jacksonville. And my older son, I'll still call him an athlete because he's going to continue in amateur sports. I'm sure he's graduating from FSU. Didn't play college sports, but played a whole lot of intramurals. And so we were in the thick of it for a long time with youth sports. And one big thing we have in common, as I was listening to your other podcasts and reading your website, is that we are both passionate about helping people grow and to love God with all heart, soul, mind, and strength.
Yeah.
And so I love that part about your mission statement. So let's just start with that. How did you come to grab onto your mission statement and helping kids grow heart, soul, mind, and strength?
Yeah. So I guess first, when I retired from the NFL, it was obviously a big transition. I know all the answers, like my identity is not in sports, but it still is what I did my whole life. And when I finished, I was like, what am I supposed to do? And I really reflected, like, what would I have done different throughout my career or through my sports journey from the very beginning? Like, what would I have changed? And when I looked back physically, I don't think I could have done more as far as like working out and nutrition and training and lifting and mornings and nights. But then when I did look back, the whole heart, soul, mind part, I figured it would just show up. I was 6 years into my NFL career, and I started playing in Tampa after I played in Jacksonville for a stint. And after my 6th year, I was playing the worst I'd ever played. And then I go into year 7, and Tom Brady's our quarterback. Halfway through the year, he had noticed at practice, I feel like at the time, I could block anyone at practice. And I would get into the game, and I would be like, man, it just doesn't translate. And he pulled me aside one time and said, how much of sports is mental? And I was like, I don't know, 80, 90%. He was like, what do you do to train it? And I was like, nothing. So 90% of the game, I was just leaving up. So I started to dive into that. Long story short, when I retired, I was like, if I can do anything, there's no better person for me to disciple than the kid I used to be. So primarily it's the high school kid getting after it on the strength side, because we all love that, and digging into like, hey, if you're in an argument with your parents, you understand that's going to carry over to like your performance in sports, or if your friendships are off, or where your soul's at, if your mind isn't fully present, it all affects it. So when I was thinking about my journey with Christ, my journey in sports, it just made a lot of sense that it has to be that way. So
yeah, I love that. So a lot of what you're doing is coming out of your own experience and you know what you needed that you didn't focus on. That's awesome. And your story is really interesting. And it's such a great story. It's maybe a little bit unique, maybe not that unique, but you walked on to James Madison to play college football.
Yeah.
And then you played 10 years in the NFL, going in undrafted.
Yes, I know.
So tell us a little bit about your story and what was required of you in all of those years to persevere.
Yeah, I think first when I look back, primarily with like the perseverance and the resilience stuff, my parents were resilient. We didn't grow up with, I didn't have everything, like everything kind of handed to me. My dad always instilled just like be the hardest working person and all these things. Um, and so, yeah, as I fast forward and I walk onto JMU, my dad was sat me down and was very clear. He's like, look, buddy, like with financial aid and some things that we can kind of scrape together to help you, you've got about a semester to get some scholarship and
Wow.
like and make this thing happen.
Wow.
And they bent over backwards to get even that much paid for. And then after a semester, I get like 50% scholarship. And my dad, he's a tough man, and he's gotten softer as he's gotten older, but he was really tough on us. Um, and then he would tell me like, hey, when you line up across a guy, he has your scholarship and you need to go take it. So he just instilled these things in me. And almost some of it was out of like fear. It was like, if I don't get this done, I'm
Wow.
not going to be worthy, or I'm not going to be able to go to college. I'm going to fail it all. So there were some fear motives there, and that we'll get into that, but that leads down another path.
Yeah.
But I think perseverance was instilled in me early, and going through hard times
Yeah.
with people that love me. And then Morgan, my wife, has been with me since high school. So then in college, I just had these people not even knowing their importance, but that were just like, you can do it. Like that just believed in me when I was down. So that was such a big part of it all.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot on our podcast, this element of having a really good support system around you. I think it makes a big difference to know that you can do hard things when you have people around you cheering you on, believing in you, helping you work towards your goals and supporting you. And that's a big part of good mental health as well, is having that support system. As I've listened to your story, I can see where God has put people in your pathway at just the right time. Even Tom Brady asking you about the mental game. I mean, what a providential moment, for him to just drop something right there in your brain to make you really consider this huge aspect of the game that you hadn't thought much about intentionally, but in a lot of ways had been there. Your parents, perseverance is a mental game.
Yeah.
So they had been instilling this in you, and you had these good supports, and then maybe you started thinking about it a little bit more intentionally than you had before.
Yeah. To your point, the perseverance stuff comes, but then for me, this confidence piece was always based on like how I previously performed. So like if I played well the next week, I'm like, I'm the most confident guy out there,
Wow. Yeah.
And if I didn't play well, and then I'm like, I have zero confidence. I'm on this roller coaster of confidence because my confidence just came from success and validation. Somebody told me good job, I was confident. And if I played well, I was confident, rather than how I talk to myself, my preparation, the positive people around me, being able to fall back on past performances to realize like I am capable. So there was, as the perseverance was there, I think like just keep going regardless.
Yeah.
A big piece like confidence was just so much dependent on good job, Josh,
Wow. Okay. So I'm interested. That's such an important point. Your confidence early on was really built on success and validation.
Yeah.
And so you were always chasing that. You called it kind of like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So how did that change? And what did it change to?
Yeah. I guess I could jump to what did it change to first, just practically, like how I talk to myself. I talk to me more than anybody talks to me.
Right.
And if a friend talked to me the way that I talk to myself, I wouldn't be their friend.
Yeah.
And my parents could tell me, it's okay, buddy. Like you can do it. And then to myself, I'm like, you're the worst football player ever, and it's such an extreme. Like, I know that's not true, but to me, it felt that way. So practically one of the things, watch how I talk to myself. Also, my body language. Nobody can tell me that I have to drop my head and throw my palms up and things. So controlling what I could control.
Yeah, so good.
And then prepare, like, there's this quote that I would have, like, reps remove doubt. Not that doubt will ever fully be removed, but just putting in the reps, putting in the prep, controlling what I could. Like, I would get to where I wrote down all the things I did all week to prepare. I went to bed early. I ate healthy. I took extra reps. And then when this little thing of you're not good enough, oh, remember last week? I'm like, oh, yeah, remember last week? Like, this is what I did this week to get ready. Try to take the keys back to my confidence that I was giving to, whether it's my parents, a coach, a teammate, the newspaper, Twitter, Instagram.
Right.
Just taking back what's really in my control as far as no one gets to determine if I'm confident or not, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is feels like such a secret sauce, honestly. Like, putting your confidence in what you can control.
Yes.
And not what you can't. You can control your habits, your behaviors. I mean, we talk about this so generally with our clients, every day, right? Our mind goes to all the things we can't control. And then we're stuck in worry and anxiety and what's going to happen. And when we put our mind back on the things we can, right? The habits that I was just talking to a client this morning about 1 day at a time. Don't think 4 or 5 days down the line, especially in relation to your mental health. Just think about today. What can I do today? I can get up and I can do that morning routine, and I can feed my body and move my body and feed my mind and feed my soul. And then I can get up and do it again tomorrow. And that's amazing. I love the quote, reps remove doubt, right? Because the more, whether it's reps on the field or reps in mental habits, right? That's going to remove doubt and make you feel more confident just in doing those things. So your mindset really shifted from success and validation to what can I control and what am I doing to contribute to my own success?
Yeah. And to your point, I think I honestly, like, Super Bowl champ and 10 years in the NFL, and then when you talk to someone, it's like, I'm just, obviously God willing and bless a lot of things. I just continue to show up. Like, to your point, like, it's consistency over a long period of time. I promise you, I was not the most athletic. I was not the strongest. I was probably out of position. I played quarterback in high school. Okay. And it's like, but it just was showing up, and I was trying to be even before, like, knowing Christ, which we'll talk about too as that came in, but I just was trying to be the best at where I was. I wanted to be the best quarterback. I wanted to be the best player on my team. I don't want to be the best. Whatever situation I was in, like, let's just keep going. Like, because there is this illusion of once I get there, then I'll eat healthy. I'll work out. I'll take some time to actually spend some time reading the Bible. Like, oh, once things calm down, Yeah. There's just something to showing up consistently, whether it's this high mountaintop experience or this valley. Like, you just keep all right, I'm going to show up tomorrow and see what happens.
Yeah, I love that. It points to contentment in all things, and it pulls your purpose out of really the thing that you're doing and more to, like, what God has called you to. God has called me to this place at this time, and to be the person he's called me to be right here.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is so powerful.
It is. It is. Like, the big piece of that I haven't talked about yet, but just, the purpose piece. Knowing that regardless of how I play, if I'm meant to be, especially my journey, my relationship with the Lord didn't even start till I was in the NFL. But getting to the point of, like, if I'm not supposed to be here, I won't be here. If I do everything that I can and I'm not here, it's because I wasn't supposed to be. I just didn't want to look back and be like, well, it's because I had a poor attitude and I didn't work hard and I didn't do this. I wanted to do everything that I could. And then I could rest in this, like, whether I play well or whether I don't, I feel like I've used everything I can to the best of my ability. And then I'll leave the rest up to the Lord. If I'm supposed to be here, I will be. And that was very freeing for me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we're kind of getting in that direction, right? Like a lot around mindset and habits and things changed for you when you became a Christian. So
Yeah.
we talk a little bit about that, like what that point was and what really changed.
Yeah. So for me, it was the people around me that you talked about for sure. But there was a moment. So, like you said, I went undrafted to the NFL. And my whole life, I thought, like in high school, I remember getting into arguments with my dad, and we would all be arguing over a game or whether whatever happened in a game. And
Mhm.
I remember saying, like, well, I'm going to get a scholarship and prove you wrong. And we would go back and forth. Well, then I earned a scholarship, 100% scholarship. I think it took me a year and a half into
Wow.
college. I earned a scholarship. And then I just was like, what's next? And then as I got to like my junior year of college, they're like, well, you have the potential, you have the size to play in the NFL. So I was like, let's do that. That was always a dream, but I was like, never really thinking this is exactly what I'm doing. I just was junior, like, you got ability. I was like, let's do that. And then in my mind, I was like, when I get drafted, like, I'm going to prove everybody wrong again. And then I go undrafted and I'm like, man, here we go again. I'm halfway. I was told there's an article that I have printed out. It's in a book over on here on the shelf of long shots to make the roster. And it has my picture on it. And it was from the Florida Times Union right here. And I had it cut out and all these things. And I was like, okay. So I end up making the team. I make the active roster. I play in some games, and I'm 8 weeks into the season. And I have more money than I thought I would ever make, maybe ever need. I just had no idea.
Yeah.
I had a car. I was engaged to my wife. I had an apartment, all these things. And I was miserable.
Mm.
Like to the point, like crying at night before bed, because I lived by myself.
Wow.
Morgan, my fiance at the time, lived in Virginia. And I was like, what is going on? Well, like back up some to OTAs. My roommate is Tyler Shatley, who is my best friend in the world still right now.
Yeah.
And he just looks at me on Sunday during OTAs because we have the weekends off. And he goes, hey, on Sundays, I go to Maple Street after I go to church. I'm going to go to church and then I'll go to Maple Street. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, I'll go with you. Like, you're my roommate. Cool. Mm-hmm. I had nothing against it. Well, we just start going. Mm-hmm. And then right around the same time I'm feeling that in the season, Joby preaches a sermon. Like, if you ever climbed up all the way up to the top of the ladder that you thought you would want to be at, and you look across, you're like, I think I'm on the wrong wall. It was in his words, but that's what and I was like, yeah, that's me. And then from then on out, it's funny. Like, I get on fire. I'm just like listening to sermons and reading these things. And 10 years later now, I still struggle with approval, success validation, all this, like, what if, this happens and things. Now I just have the way to fight against it with something I'm not just this self-talk thing I like, but it's more of me telling myself what the Bible says. That's my self-talk,
Yeah. Yeah. You gained a whole lot of truth to tell yourself when you became a Christian, right? A huge book of truth that just rests on your heart in a pretty significant way.
Yes. Yeah. Like, it's not just me telling myself I'm valuable even if I lose this game. Like, it's not just from me. It's like, oh, let me flip over into here. And it's like, well, I shouldn't. God hasn't given you a spirit of fear. Do all things under the glory, whatever, for the Lord and not for man. Am I seeking the approval of man or of God? Like, and so I'm just start to get these very basic verses, very simple, that for me, I'll just fire off. Like, you tell me a thought, boom, fire. It's just like, we're this like fight in my brain,
I love that. I love that.
So that's how, and most of the times, like every athlete, it's right before the game. For me, it was rarely during. It was right before, because it was the unknown. And then it was right after.
Okay.
Like, it would just be like that wasn't good enough, and during, I just kind of just like, I'm into it, focused, all these things. But before and after, man, oof, it's a fight.
A hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've mentioned fear a little bit. Yeah. And, I talk to clients all day long, and we talk about how everybody's got them.
Yeah.
And so I want you to share a little bit about fear,
Yeah.
both before and how it changed after you became a Christian
Yeah.
and started really walking with the Lord. Talk a little bit about fear, in your life as an athlete and how that changed when you became a Christian.
Yeah. It changed once I became, this fear's always been there. And it was never really a fear of someone or a fear of like, oh my gosh, this guy's so big and strong. It was like a fear of like being embarrassed. It was like a fear of like letting someone down.
Yeah.
Primarily my dad for me.
Okay.
I remember running off the field. I've done it since I was like a 6 or 7 year old kid. My mom, we still talk about it. I would run off the field and then I like look at my dad. And I run off the field and I look at my dad.
Yeah.
High school football, he sits on the 45-yard line on the top row and he stands in high school. He did it every game. I'd run off the field and look to the spot. And it was just this, it was like a hope of like, I haven't let you down. I haven't let you down. I haven't let you down. And I can talk more about that when it gets to the parenting part of it.
Yeah.
Because there was things he did really, really well. And there's things he'd be like, I wouldn't have done that again.
Sure.
Because I would run off the field and if I had a good series, he'd be like, good job, buddy. Like, and if I didn't have a good series, he'd be like, come on, like, what are you doing? Come on, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So it was a fear at times of letting him down. And then it was a fear of like being exposed. Like I would always get these like,
yeah,
you don't deserve to be here. Like you really don't. And they're just going to find out that you don't deserve to be here on this biggest stage ever.
Yeah.
And so I always felt that. And then fast forward to like come to know the Lord, man, there's still this like fear. It doesn't mean it's just going away. But now it's like I realize the fight that I'm in. The fight is not letting my dad down. The fight is not making this coach happy or being exposed. Like this fight is an attack that they're trying to keep me from. The enemy's trying to keep me from using my gifts to the best of my ability.
Yes.
And going in here, Joby prayed for me before a game in the 6th year. I was just fighting this thing, especially the night before, and I called him, and he's like praying that I smash this dude for the glory of God. Like I pray that I put my hands on this dude and dump him, and then when people go, what had happened? It's like, hey, glory to God. Trust me, if you knew the thoughts that were going through my head before the game, you'd be like, who is this guy? But it's because of him. And so understanding that, like, no, this is like a spiritual battle that I'm fighting. And every guy that plays sports that's competitive will be like, I like to fight. I'm competitive. I want to fight. I just started getting competitive with my thoughts. Like this negative thought comes on, like, all right, like, let's go again,
Yeah. I love that.
Just making it just like a worldly thing,
Yeah. So you almost have another game that you're playing.
Yeah. It's the mental game. Yeah.
The mental game, another battle. And it sounds like you had different tools to fight with.
Yes.
Right. And maybe you weren't even fighting it before.
No.
It was kicking your butt. You were just trying to hang on.
Yes.
And now you realize what a game is being played in your mind. And you actually have some truth, some tools to fight, the enemy. Because like you said, the enemy just wants to keep you from fulfilling that God-given purpose in whatever season of life you're in, whatever role you're in. And he'll just kick your butt if he's kept in the dark, right?
For sure. And to your point, the keeping in the dark, like that was a huge thing. Obviously it all started to get better, or I say get better. As I started to walk with the Lord and my relationship grew with the Lord, I had ways to fight against it. But a huge thing was having people to talk to about it. Yeah. I never talked about having fear or letting people down with anyone. I didn't talk to it about my dad. I didn't talk to my dad about it. I didn't even talk to my friends about it. And I never really had that person kind of in the middle that was like asking me the questions of like, hey, do you get scared for the game? No. So I never talked about it.
Yeah.
And then I get in the NFL and I start to get involved in a church around other men that are kind of following after the Lord, that are tough, that are doing hard things, that would ask hard questions. And I was like, man, so even just talking about it, putting it in the dark, bringing it to the light from the dark was so freeing in itself. of
Yeah.
just being like, yeah, man, like Tyler Shatley and I still, we're like, we look at each other when we play together and be like, bro, do you feel this? Like, you feel this too? He's like,
I love
oh
that.
yeah. So just having a buddy and someone older that you could be
Yeah.
like, yeah, dude, this is a scary situation. Or like, yeah, that's pretty normal, man. That's how I feel too, you know?
Yeah. That's so important, Josh. This idea of talking to someone,
Mm-hmm.
having good, we talked about having good support people around you, having buddies. And, this comes a lot easier for women in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just so thrilled to hear you talking about that for men, and not just athletes, but all men,
No.
right?
Yeah.
You have got to have men in your life who are speaking life into you, who you
Mm-hmm.
can confess to about all the stuff going on in your brain, that you can, someone that can drag what's in the dark into the light with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it is literally one of the most powerful tools we have at our disposal. So I'm super thankful, that you've mentioned that. And that's a lot of what you're doing for the people that you're coaching now.
Yeah. The amazing thing about sports is that it's going to end one day. I hope it's 10 years in the NFL, and it's probably might be after college and it might be after high school, but all the things you're still going to face hard, scary, fearful when you're done. So really practicing, like, control the controllables. You're going to do that the rest of your life. Being honest with someone, you're going to need to do that the rest of your life.
So good.
Yeah. And that's what I tell the kids I work with now. I tell them the same thing I'm doing with you, I do with other men.
Yeah.
I have people older than me talking to me the way I'm talking to you. And it's just all getting passed down. And most of the time I just tell them, and I tell the parents, I'm going to tell them primarily what you tell them. They're going to listen to me because I'm not their dad. Yeah. Because the reality is, I look back and I didn't listen to my dad, and he was telling me all the right things.
Yeah.
And I talked to my friends at the time about some situations like, oh, what would you do with this? And they're like, I would do this. And it's like, they're all kind of dummies. Like, I mean, just being very truthful. So it's like, I just tell the parents, like, I'm walking in the middle, and I want to walk alongside the athlete and the parent. So I text the parents and call the parents, and I'll be like, hey, you're around them a lot more than me. I think they're being honest with me, but I think there's a piece they're hot. Like, is there something I can talk to them about that you've been noticing? So they tell me, I talk to them, and then it's kind of like we're all in this together. I tell them I don't want to talk to the kid, and then the parents just be, and I tell the kids, I'm talking to your parents because I want them to know, and I want the best for you. And so it's been really cool to know that I do the same thing I'm doing with them, and honestly, just to pass down wisdom that's passed down to me. And then I'm like, oh, this is how I've been using this when I do something hard now. Hey, let's implement this for you,
Yeah, I love that. And it makes me just realize and remember that so much can be taught through athletics about life and how to live and how to be healthy and how to, how to continue to grow heart, soul, mind, and strength. There's so many good lessons. I grew up in sports too, and so much of habit formation and the perseverance and the teamwork, and there's just so many good things that you learn, and you're really honing in on, again, that personal development and that mental game that is going to set these kids up for success no matter where they go.
Yes. Yeah. And to your, like, how to lose,
how to
look and be like,
gosh, that's such an important one.
I just wasn't, like, when I retired, like, I guess it was my decision to retire, but I just wasn't good enough anymore. And, like, realizing you're going to look around at some point, say you want to play D1 sports and you don't get a D1 scholarship, and you'll just be like, okay, I did everything I could with what I was given.
Yeah.
The hardest part is to look back and be like, I regret not fill in the blank, working as hard, eating, talking to someone about the problems. But turn over every stone you can and learn how to lose and learn how to be like, maybe that's the comparison trap. We could go into a million things, like, but the social media comparison stuff that happens now. That doesn't go away. Like, one day you're going to be a dad and you're going to be like, well, they went on these cool vacations. Like, why am I?
Right.
And if you don't learn how to fight it now using sports, you're going to have to learn how to fight it later or just get your butt kicked, like we all do at times.
Yeah. And from a mental health standpoint, if you don't learn those things, you don't learn how to fight it, that's where people slide into addictions.
Yeah.
All kinds of, we call it maladaptive coping, right? Because we're all living in this, this broken world, and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. There's a lot of hard stuff. And if you don't learn how to fight from victory, how to persevere, and learn the tools that God gives us on the journey, you will get your butt kicked. And then eventually you'll go into maladaptive coping, which is addictions and all kinds of bad behaviors that are going to tear you down and tear down everybody around you. And it's completely destructive. And so I love talking to people that are just as passionate about this stuff as I am. It's really important, I think, and you know what, the next generation, like, I love that they have more tools at their disposal. We know more now, and it is so important to pass it down to them like you're doing.
Yeah. It's been really cool. This, but this is all really new to me. And I tell them up front, like, I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a professional. I tell them this is discipleship, and there's no better person for me to disciple than the kid I used to be. And most of the kids, just every kid I meet with, I was a high school athlete. I was a college athlete at one point. I was an NFL athlete at one point. This is what I struggled with. And to your point, like the vulnerability, it's a lot of me going first. Like, dude, the way you feel, that's completely normal. I felt that way when I was 30, and I just, you're 13 and you're trying to figure this out. But it's awesome. Just the conversations, to see somebody make a little bit of a change, to maybe not have to go through something as much as you went through it. And they're going to have to go through some things, but just to walk with them through it, get down there in the hard parts with them. It's been very, I guess, rewarding. I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be when I'm doing it,
Yeah, I love that. And teaching vulnerability that's such a big deal, whether it's whatever success that is, and that bleeds over into your relationships, your marriage, all of those things. So, gosh, such good stuff. So, increasingly, I'm mid to late 40s now. And so been on this earth long enough to watch how youth sports has changed, and the immense pressure that can be on our youth and consequently parents to perform, the competition, the recruitment, whether it's youth sports or academics. Frankly, there's so much pressure. If you don't start when you're 3 years old, training these kids, you're never going to get to where you want to be. So the competition, the recruitment, watching my son, go through that and have to get a Twitter account for football recruiting, and, all of that, the social media scrutiny, from your perspective, coaching kids now, what red flags do you notice when a young athlete is under too much mental or emotional stress?
I guess I'll hit on recruiting first. Recruiting has gone crazy. I also think the social media stuff has made it seem like if you don't specialize in these things, you're not going to be good enough. I think here's the thing. In the short term, if you specialize, you will get better than other kids. It's true. My goal, when I think about my sons, I have an 8-year-old daughter, a 6-year-old son, and a 3-year-old son, and then, like you said, one on the way. If I can get them to 13 and they want to, and they love it and they want to do it, and then they're athletically and capable enough to do it. So putting them in one sport is not going to get that done. It's just, and there's some kids that get it done and all these things. I would say asking them what they love to do, what they enjoy doing, what makes it fun. I think asking the questions, because a lot of them, they just shut down. And if a 10-year-old is just collapsing after a bad loss or something at 10, it's, in my mind, it's like, I think it might be time to take a little bit of a break. the Bible always talks about, like, even with our faith, like, return to what we did when we like were on fire, when we loved the Lord. Like, what was
That's
it?
so good.
So there was a kid. There's a kid that I meet with now, 12 years old, wanted to quit baseball. And so we were meeting each week and we were talking, and I was talking to his parents, like, it's getting worse. He wants to quit and stuff. So I just took him, I went and picked him up, and we went to Mellow Mushroom. I was just like, let's go eat pizza and talk. So I picked him up. We went to eat Mellow Mushroom, and I talked to him. And I was like, man, there's been a lot of times that I've wanted to quit too. And I told him about, there was a time in college where I didn't have a scholarship. I got moved positions, called my dad, I'm quitting. 6 years into the NFL, I had a conversation with an older man that disciples me, and I was like, I'm away from my family. She's pregnant with her second child. I want to retire. So those are two big times. So I kind of normalized it at first, and then I asked him, I was like, what do you love about it? Like, what do you love about it? He's like,
such a good question.
It's like, he couldn't think. I was like, okay, let's just back up then to when you did love it. What did you love about it?
Mm-hmm.
And a couple things. He was like, I love playing catch with my dad. I was like, when's the last time you played catch with your dad? He's like, I can't remember. I was like, okay. And he was like, he loved being around, like joking around with his teammates. They would like sing songs and like kind of mess around. I was like, when's the last time I did that? And he's like, well, my coach now is real serious. Like, we don't really do that. And I'm like, here's what I would do. I would just go back to doing the things you did when you loved to play. And it's been amazing. It didn't just get better overnight.
Sure.
And there's other things that come in now as confidence is kind of dwindling. So we're going to dive into confidence and things like that. But I think the red flags is like when they get over emotional about a thing, how they talk about themselves when they come off the field. Like, me too. I'm the worst. This is the terrible. I just can't, I think it's very dependent on the kid. I'm trying to think of kids that some of them get really, really quiet. They just answer every question with good. And the only thing that I've noticed from my side, you could probably help me a bunch, is when I just ask them deeper questions. Like, how was practice this week? How was the game? It was good. And I'm like, I do this thing with them, 3, 2, 1. I'm like, give me 3 good things, 2 things you want to work on, 1 thing you're excited about. And it just cultivates this opportunity to have a conversation and see where their heart's actually at.
Yeah.
And just telling them, like, it's normal how you feel. So, what do you
that's good.
What are the things you see?
Yeah. So we were talking before we got on here, like, I've watched the kids and the teams over the years of my kids playing sports. And I always got so worried about the kids that would get so overly emotional about a strikeout or, an interception. And it was just like, it seemed to devastate them. And then to your point, hearing the self-talk, especially the I ams. I'm the worst. I suck. I am whatever, because that speaks to identity, right? And that's some dangerous stuff to be telling yourself.
Yes.
Versus like, I didn't do that well, or I could have done better. Those are kind of normal things. But when you start personalizing your failures as I am something, I mean, it can just really snowball really quickly. So I would get, or the kids that, and very similarly, the kids that would come into the dugout and just absolutely chuck their helmet, and I realize I've worked with a lot of boys over the years, and when boys get angry, they're much more physically expressive than girls. So, we make room for that. I don't expect boys to act like girls, but sometimes there's a level of like, okay, it's one thing to come in and like punch your bag or, something like that. But like to absolutely like chuck your helmet, destroy the dugout, like, all right, we gotta figure out what's going on here, because it's just, it's too much, right? It's too much. But what really got me was when, the kids over time, these things that we're talking about, they do start to impact your performance. Because if you are telling yourself, I'm a horrible baseball player, over time, you will be a horrible baseball player.
No question.
Right? Wherever your mind goes, everything else will follow. The example I use a lot is my dad teaching me how to throw a softball when I was a kid. He would stand in the yard with me and he would tell me to point at his chest.
Mhm.
And then, like while I was throwing, like
Yeah.
point at his chest and
Yeah.
follow through
Yeah.
where I was pointing. And I would hit his chest every time.
Mm.
So very similarly, where our mind is directed, the rest of us will go.
Yeah.
And so just seeing those kids continue to snowball in that mindset, and I did it myself over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a setter on a volleyball team all the way through high school and a little bit into college, just club. And I could see it happen if I let I wish I knew all this back then, because if I let my mind go to, oh, that was horrible. Today's going to be awful, because like in the first 5 minutes of the game, I would miss a set or miss whatever. And, I would tell myself, well, today's going to suck.
Yeah.
You know what today would? It would suck.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Without a doubt. So, those are so hard, but you give us you've given our listeners some good tools and some great things that you do that all coaches can grab onto, right? This idea of 3-2-1, right? Parents and coaches alike can grab onto, three things. I think you said 3 things that went well, 2 things you want to do differently, and 1 thing you're excited about. That's such a well-rounded view, right? Sometimes we come at it and just say, how did it go? And that begs a response of good or bad, right? And nothing is just good or bad. Nothing is all or nothing.
Yes. Worst game of your career. What did you do good? Like, were you prepared? Did you have full effort? Did you have a good attitude? Were you a good teammate? Like, it's just because the first thing you think about is just such performance. It's just performance driven. Yeah. And I tell this to like guys now, like, my performance can never give me a purpose. My purpose can free me up to perform. And so it's like, dude, you're never, because guess what? We would look at each other. Tuesdays was kind of like our player day off when we played in the NFL. We'd play on Sunday and have a huge win. We'd come in Monday, watch the film, put it to bed. Tuesday we come in, work out. It's the next week. No one's even thinking, doesn't even care. Whether best game of your life, worst game of your life. We come in Monday, watch the film, put it to bed, kind of 24-hour rule, whatever. Tuesday we come in, we got a game the next time. So that's never, if we're just living that way, it's just going to be so up and down. Rather than, to your point, all the things we've talked about. And it just, the reps, it just going to take reps and time of fighting against it, vulnerability, honesty, and just continued reps on fighting against this thing that we all fight.
Yeah, totally. And, athletics just gives us there's such a crossover to building our mind. Like when you talk about the reps, what I notice in, midlife, I need to lift heavy. So I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And I've always lifted my whole life, but trying to lift more heavy, just in my stage of life. And what I notice is that, you take a little bit of time off and how quickly your muscles kind of go back to where they were.
Yeah.
But also how quickly, when you consistently put in the effort, I just notice how quickly I move up in weight when I'm doing it it's amazing how fast it goes. Or you start doing push-ups. I've done push-ups on and off like my whole life, just about since I was a kid. And when I start doing push-ups, if I'm doing them consistently several times a week, like how quickly it gets easier.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, these are great lessons just for life in general. Like you say, putting in the reps, whether it's mindset or in a physical way, how quickly it gets easier, and you can change, like, our capacity, the capacity God gave us to change and grow is immense. And once you tap into that, you find freedom and you find success a whole lot quicker, it seems like.
Yeah. I love this. I just want the people to know, like, that are listening, that it's just not one of the big things that helped me. I feel like I've talked a lot about, like, tools for, like, to help yourself.
Yeah.
The second I like started to realize it wasn't just about me, and started trying to serve the people around me too. One of the questions I ask a bunch of the kids I work with that I've recently like came across, it wasn't asked to me. I just was talking to someone. I got asked the question, but it's like lay out for me. It was like lay out what your perfect life looks like from now until the end. For them, the way I asked it to them was lay out your perfect career, and it's some version of if they're in high school, they want a D1 scholarship. If they're in college, they want to play pro. If they're in the pros, they want to win whatever World Series they want to. They want to win that. And then the question I follow up with is like, who benefits from it? And a lot of times it's like, it's you. It's like you benefit. Or so to the parents, like map out your kid's perfect career. You're hard on them, and as a 10-year-old baseball player, they play pro baseball. They made a bunch of money. Who benefited? Like, is it just them? Is it just you? Or is it their future husband or wife and their kids? Is it all their teammates they came across? And so oftentimes I could find my anxiety, my fear, all the things we've talked about because I was so focused on me and like my performance and what I needed to do. And when I started like, man, how can I like leave this jersey better than I found it? Like one day someone for the Buccaneers was going to wear the number 72 jersey again. My hope is that when they put it on or someone saw it again, it's like, well, man, this is the way he did things. Man, this is like the new standard I can leave for my teammates, for whoever I encounter. So I feel like I've talked a bunch about just me and what I can do, which I think is super important, the habits. But man, find a way to like be a great teammate. Find a way to like, as a parent, be like, encourage them to be the best teammate and encourager on the team. Like, build the resilience and all this stuff, but who are they impacting other than just themselves, you know?
Oh, that's so good. And to instill that at an early age is like gold, you know, like God didn't give us our purpose and calling just for ourselves.
Right.
He gave us a unique purpose to impact the world around us, the people in the world around us.
Yes.
And to be able to give that kind of vision to kids is so important at whatever level. I mean, I'm working with adults in my office that don't have that kind of view into the purpose for their lives. And you know, we're always going to be more miserable if we're belly button gazers, right? If everything is focused on us, we're miserable. When we can lift our eyes and look around us and see how has God gifted me to impact this world, you know, that there's so much more freedom in that. Now it doesn't just rely on, we don't just rely on us and our own strength. You know, we recognize where our strength comes from and that God is going to give us what we need to fulfill that purpose. It's not all up to us. It's a great life lesson, right?
Amen. Yes,
so as we are finishing up here, I want you to talk to parents for a moment. You said you work with kids and parents, and we do that in our practice too, because this kid is going back into an environment. They might meet with us once or twice a week, but they're going back into an environment that needs to reinforce what we're teaching. So talk to the parents a little bit about the mental game and what you want them to know about their young athletes and how to parent them well as it relates to maybe not just the mental game, but just all of sports.
Yeah.
What are the most important things?
Well, I think back, like I said, I'm a dad to younger kids. They're not quite in that stage yet. And obviously I was a kid who went through it. I think a lot of times I can see or even feel myself wanting to do already is like when they say the negative self-talk out loud, like I am terrible, I suck, I'm the worst. It's like the first thing it's easy to be like, no, you don't. Like, didn't you see like what you did out there? And I think there's a time to just sit there and let them just vent and talk. I think we would give ourselves like a 24-hour rule, especially in the NFL. Like you have 24 hours to complain or be high, whatever. And so sometimes I think like with the parents, like they play the terrible game. I try to practice now. Like my son, he's just way more into sports than my daughter. So that's why I keep saying him. But he's into sports a bunch, and I'm just like, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it for at least a day. I'm going to hear what he has to say and be like, buddy, I
Yeah.
love, like, I love watching you play. Because I think that just to hear that, like, I just love being here, dude. I love watching you play. Let him vent, let him yell, not try to tell him how to feel. And then I would get at least a day removed. And then, like, hey, remember when this happened, like in the game? Like, what do you think you would have done different?
So good.
Yeah, I think that is a huge, that car ride that you hear a bunch of people talk about now.
Yeah.
Man, it is everything. I remember getting in the car after a good game, and it's like, the music's going, I can still like feel it. And then I remember getting in a game after, like, I know I played bad. Your kid already knows probably what he can fix and get better at, and he probably knows how he played. So the last thing he needs, I think, is to be told what to fix and how he played. Or kids also know that if you're lying to them, like, if I heard it honestly on a podcast, and I'm like, I feel that way all the time, or felt that way all the time. Like, your kid struck out 3 times. To tell them that you did a great job, honey. No, he didn't. Like, he knows if you're lying to him or not. So I think just sitting there with him, be like, yeah, that must be hard, man. I'm sorry. And I think those times are just so critical.
Yeah.
And then the asking questions piece helps me. Like, because I immediately want to fix it with my wife, with my kid. Let me fix this thing. And the more I can just ask a question and then listen, has been super helpful. And then the parents too. Like, I guess last thing, like, they're watching you way more than you think. Like, even I look back, like, I wasn't listening to what my dad was saying, or like, I was hearing it, but I watched way more. Because I find myself, good and bad, doing things now in my life that I'm like, my dad never told me to do that, but I just naturally do it because I watched him. So, yeah.
Yeah, so good. So good. It reminds me of the moment that my son finally hit a home run in baseball, and it was the one time I wasn't recording.
Yeah. Oh.
You know, there's that point, where they're all starting to hit home runs, and you'll get there.
Yeah.
And, we're recording every at bat because this could be the one. And the one I didn't record, I mean, that's what you were saying made me think of, is that they are watching you. And it's so true. You see kids, a lot of times they look at their parents, and, it means a lot. I watched, and this isn't sports related, but Sean and I went to breakfast last weekend, and there was a dad and a little girl sitting at a table.
Yeah.
And he was just looking at his phone.
Oh.
And she was trying to get his attention, and she grabbed his hand, and she squeezed his hand, and he scolded her. And it hurt my heart so bad. I wanted to say something so badly.
Yeah.
He saw me staring, so maybe that's my end. But they really are watching you, and so much more is caught than taught. And I love what you're saying about just giving them the space, to sit with and talk out loud their emotions. And how they felt about the game, because this is the way we say it in my field, and this just fits so well. When emotions are really high, nobody's going to take in anything logical. And so when emotions are high, they need to level out, and they will do that over time. And as kids process out loud what was going on. And so giving them some time and space, and then coming in and asking questions. They don't, I tell parents all the time, kids don't need another lecture. They get that all the time. They need, they need a friend. They need a confidant. And, not that we're our kids' friends all the time, but in that moment, they just need to know that you're with them. Right. And you can ask them questions that lead them to verbalize, what they might do differently, what actually went well. Sometimes, kids can be real negative, and we have to help them see those 2 positive things that they did. We have to help them see, but it's not going to be by lecturing or coming against everything they're saying. It's going to give them teaching them that they can have some space to work that out, and knowing that it's within them, to work that out.
Yeah. Cause like knowing it's within them, like, it's not like you've got what it takes. Like you can. And like, I do, like, I push my kids in effort. Like when they don't give effort, I'm like, I'm going to push you there. Like, I'm going to tell you, like, no, this is how we do it. Like, one of the things that I do, like I said, I feel like I practice a lot on my kids, and then I like talk to, but my son, like, he always looks to me still, and I don't want him to change looking at me, but I like learn from another dad. Cause when he looks at me, I don't want to just be like, because it's just so natural to be like, good job, Johnny, whatever. So now I just like hold up a circle, like a 0 with my hand. And I've told him, like, when I do this, it just means give everything you've got. Like, whatever. Just, hey, like, so when he looks at me, it gives me something to do with my hand, or like I'll do I love you with my hand, but I'm like, just right here. Like, so whether it's good or bad, just give everything you've got.
I love that.
Because we always want to just be like, way to go. Like, you just missed 4 shots in a row, but like, way to go. And they're like, no, not way to go, like,
no, that was not good. Were you even watching?
Like, we don't, right. You're just like, okay, we understand. And then I guess another big thing, like, find someone like Rebecca, find someone that can talk to your kid in the middle. And I've said it, primarily what's going to be said to them is what you're saying, but they'll probably listen because they're not you. I wish I would have had that. A bunch of older kids that I've talked to that don't even play sports now, but just have met them. Like, man, I would have loved that. So find that person that you trust as your family to just have the hard conversations too with your kids.
Yeah, so good.
It could be a youth group leader. I mean, anyone.
Absolutely.
Just find, whether it's at the church or a professional, find that person, because I think it is that beneficial to have.
It totally is. And one of the reasons we came to 1122 was to have more like-minded Christian people to disciple our kids, because it's so important for that. And, to your point, we have a few people in our practice. I don't work with kids as much anymore, but we have some people in our practice that do. And one of our therapists, his name is Nate. He is actually also a baseball coach. And, he takes the kids out behind our office and throws the ball with them. He keeps a fishing rod at our office because we have a pond out back. He walks around the pond with them when talking. And he's such an asset to our team. And he ends up working with a lot of athletes. And so it's really a great resource. So I'm giving him a little plug here on the podcast.
That's amazing.
And, he's a younger guy, he gets
shoulder to shoulder with the boys. Like, just playing catch. So if you got an athlete, go play catch.
Yeah.
More. It's easier to talk as a young athlete playing catch than sitting at the table.
Early on when I first started counseling, 1122 let me work out of an office, at the church, and there was a basketball hoop out back. And so several of the kids that I work with, we just go outside and shoot hoops. And I was always amazed at what they would talk about while they were shooting hoops. Now I know that makes sense for boys, but it was like magic. So cool. I have really, really appreciated and enjoyed our conversation, Josh. I'm so thrilled about what you are doing for the athletes that you're coaching. You are making a real kingdom impact on them and on our communities. And so as we finish up, tell our viewers, listeners, where they can find you, kind of what you're focused on right now, and where they can find you if they want their kid and them as parents to work with you in this coaching area.
Yeah, so it's undraftedcoaching.com. I've had a lot through like Instagram, Josh Wells or Undrafted Coaching, either one. It's funny, like you'll stumble across like a video on Instagram or something and kind of get a message through that. So that's completely fine too. Those are probably the 2 easiest ways to get in contact with me, to set something up and talk. And honestly, like I said, the first time I just want to sit down and make sure it's the right thing for everybody,
Right.
the parents and the kids. And just to your point, it's discipleship, heart, soul, mind, and strength. And I am just leaning on what I've been through, what I've gone through, the tools I've had that we've talked about, to just walk alongside them.
Yeah.
And I hope they get I hope they get the scholarships and the pro stuff. I hope they come to know Jesus, and I hope they become stronger men in the long run. So
yeah, I love that. Well, I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah.
Would you mind praying for those that are listening?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Josh.
Good and gracious Heavenly Father, God, we love you. We just thank you, God, that we have a platform to talk about this. Lord, that people would come to listen. I pray for just all the athletes that are hearing this. Lord, I pray that they know that their identity is not in sports. Lord, I pray that you'll help them continue to take the steps towards you. I just pray for Rebecca and Nate, and I just pray for all the people that are out there trying to help athletes come to know that they can use their gifts to glorify you, but they are way more than that. Pray this doesn't just go to believers, Lord, but it will go to people that are just chasing goals and dreams and are curious and interested, Lord. And I pray that you'll meet them right where they are and draw them closer to you. And this I pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks for listening to Jesus and Your Mental Health. If you would take the time to review and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen, it would mean a lot to us. If you'd like more information about Rebecca Maxwell's practice, go to jesusandyourmentalhealth.com. This podcast and the information provided by Rebecca Maxwell and her guests are solely intended for informational and entertainment purposes and should not be taken as a substitute for advice, diagnosis, or treatment regarding medical or mental health conditions. Although Rebecca Maxwell is a licensed marriage and family therapist, the views expressed on this podcast should not be taken as medical or psychiatric advice. Always consult your physician before making any decisions related to your physical or mental health. If you are in a crisis, please contact the crisis text line at 988 or the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-TALK, or call your local emergency services by calling 911. Join us again next time for Jesus and Your Mental Health.